When I came to Loyola, I got pursued international studies and French literature. I really began to be involved in social justice and those kinds of activities, and I wanted to learn like the academia side of it, and so that's why I pursued a master's. I spent 5 years in Côte d'Ivoire, West Africa, which is where my dad is from, and so there you see a lot of it, like firsthand, of you living in a really nice big house on top of the hill, and then people on the bottom of the hill live in shacks, and that's just normal. When I came to Loyola, I got pursued international studies and French literature. I had all these plans of what I was going to do and where I was going to go, and most of my friends were either going back home or going abroad, and that's what I wanted to be doing as well. But I found I got involved with doing union work, and I was like, why would I be leaving to go help poor people elsewhere when there's poor people who work here? I approached another worker about the union. I didn't know about the union. I didn't know anything. Honest, I thought that unions, I thought miners had unions or something like that. Watching it, I think it was like October Sky. I watched a movie. I think that was the only time I had heard about unions. And he had told me, he doesn't work there anymore, but he had told me that UFC workers, who are also Aramark workers, University of Chicago food service workers made $14.50, and I was like, what? They make $14.50? What the hell? Like, why don't we make $14.50? And I was still making $8.80. That's when I started to learn that many people in Chicago have unions. A lot of the hotel workers downtown have unions, and like right now there's a Hilton strike. The Hilton workers are on strike. That's because they have a union and they're in the middle of contract negotiations, and the company is taking time. So they decide to go on strike because they're serious about changing how they're treated. It was like workers taking matters into their own hands and collectively arguing for better rights, not just like one worker doing it by themselves. Workers are risking their jobs, their livelihoods. A lot of people, they are the only person making money. They are the sole provider for their families. I mean, if we were treated great, why would you bother to do this? This is very hard. Unionizing is very hard. It's a big risk. It's a lot of work, and it's emotionally exhausting to be fighting. Not only like every day you go to work and you're trying the best to do your job despite the challenges that you have, and then on the side you're trying to mobilize people. You're trying to not be afraid yourself to do it, and then help your coworkers not be afraid, so all you guys can work together to come up with a really good solution. That's really difficult. If I was treated like gold, I wouldn't have to do this. So they're not concerned with us. They're concerned with making money. And that's because we don't value ourselves, really. Like, if you don't think that you deserve $12, why would a company pay you $12? But it's indoctrinated. It's indoctrinated in society, and then every day you go to work and you're told that that's all you're worth, then that's how you're gonna feel. And so why would, me as a food service worker question that I'm making $9, and I'm just like, well, that's what society says I should make. When society doesn't value you, you have to make them value you. There's Loyola Aramark workers are not asking for crazy things. We're asking for basic things. Unionizing is like the only option because you've gone through every week, or so you've asked for a raise, and they'll say they'll give you one, and they never give you one. And then they'll just move you to another position where you're doing double the amount of work and still getting paid the same amount. Well, actually, I think working with the union has been the best thing to complement my graduate studies, because it's like doing exactly what I'm learning and actually doing it. What I'm doing and the other people on the committee, when you know somebody, you really have a real friendship with somebody, you're able to push them to see what they already know, to get over that fear that you had to get over yourself, and other people were there to help you get it over. But I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have friendships with my coworkers. Like, that's all it is. This company has millions of dollars to fight us, and thankfully we won our card check neutrality agreement, and that's them giving up their rights to fight the union. So that's a really great thing, but that only happened because we put so much pressure on them. Because workers went on a delegation and they told the GM, we want a card check neutrality agreement and we want a union. Workers did that. There were no union organizers at that meeting. The company gives up their right to fight the union, and if they don't sign it, then they could fight us tooth and nail, but they chose to sign it because they had to. Like, Loyola contracts the work out to Aramark. Loyola pays Aramark to do this work, and Aramark renders them a service by providing food for the students. If you upset the client, then you got a whole different ball game, because if you make Loyola look bad and they have to step in and then they have to acknowledge that perhaps workers' rights were being violated here, that doesn't look too good. That there are a lot of students who are angry about this and who are getting involved and supporting us, and that there are professors supporting us. And the more people sign up, the bigger majority we have, not only have we won the union, but we've also end up winning possibly a better contract, because all of this, what you really want is to have the best contract possible. You want a contract, A, that represents the workers in the best possible way, and B, represents the things that the workers want. Like you want the real issues that workers want. Things like seniority rights, there is no such thing as seniority there. Things like healthcare benefits, dental, benefits that people get at a normal job. And these are normal, this is a job. These are jobs that people have. Like, some people have worked there for 38 years. And you have nothing to show for it at the end. There's 22 of us who sit, and then we would have union negotiators who are trained in negotiating, union lawyers who are trained, this is like their job, and then us workers, talking to us, we are fighting for ourselves. So at the end of the day, the workers are in charge of this. The workers are the one leading this fight. And that speaks volumes for, the average person saying that we're going to stick together, we're going to do this, and we're going to fight. People who are told that they are not, good enough, that their jobs are not worth anything, that you don't have a certain level of education, so you're not worth it. And they're like, it's like throwing all those stereotypes out of the window and saying, I'm taking control of my job from this day on. This day forward, I'm going to do something about how I'm treated. And that's a lot of courage to do that. That takes a lot of strength, and that says a lot about the people who work there. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is counting the cards and beginning negotiations where we really get to sit down and say, this is what needs to change. This is what needs to change. But I'm lucky that I'm able to be a part of this fight, because it's not often that you are able to change things on a really grassroots level. And I've been there since I was a sophomore. And when I started the job, it was not that terrible, but the longer you're there, the longer you see the injustices happen. And I would have never dreamed that at 19 when I started that I would be doing this kind of thing at 23. I just started that job because I needed some extra money. We're told that, Jesus went out and had 12 disciples and went out to change the world. That's a lot of what organizing is. Except we got 22 disciples who are on a committee and who are going out to change our workplace. I'm going to take this anymore. I'm going to do something about it. We're going to mobilize each other so we can do something about it. Everybody feels better. If everybody were paid better, had benefits, actual health care and dental, and were able to provide for their family, only had to have one job, they could be a better worker, they could be a better parent, they could be a better spouse, they could be a better friend.